Hello and welcome back to another episode from Driving Britain. We've literally been inundated with a message asking us to do a video on Heinz products. So here we go. We have US versus UK Heinz products, the food wars. Now the reason why we're interested in this video is because everybody has noticed that there's quite a big difference between food that you get in the US versus food that we get in the UK. That's not much of a surprise to any of us because we've been seeing it more and more. But what about with one actual company? So yeah, if you buy something from Farm Foods or something in the UK, or I'm not sure if you get Farm Foods in the US, let's say Aldi's. We get Aldi's. What happens if you buy something from, say, Aldi's in the UK? Are you getting the same products in Aldi US? Probably not. What about if you go to Asda, as does Walmart? Are you getting the same things in the UK as the US? Again, probably not. But that's because we each like different foods. America, you like sugar, quite a lot of sugar. We kind of go more for savoury type things, I guess. But we also like sugar and we like creamy chocolate. Well, we like edible chocolate. That's really what it comes down to. Yours has the same thing in that you get in, well, vomit. And that might be why, to a British person, that's what it tastes like. But setting aside our global preferences, what about actual specific companies? We're not talking about, Americans prefer donuts with extra sugar. Everybody likes that. Versus, I don't know, British like Marmite on toast. Americans thinking, what the hell is Marmite? You really don't want to know. We're on about specific companies. In particular, Heinz. Now, if I buy a bottle of ketchup in the UK, I assume that if you can get a bottle of tomato ketchup in the US, that you're then getting the exact same thing as me. Or at least that's what I thought. But now looking at the way this video's lined up, I'm not sure that that's true. Now, I haven't watched this video before. I'm seeing it for the first time, same as you. So let's see what's going to go on, because I've got a feeling that we're going to be a bit surprised by some of the differences. Because we're not on about global preferences or cultural differences. We're on about one company selling the same product to two separate nations. What is it that they think they can get away with in each country? Because that's usually what it comes down to, isn't it? Or what is it that each culture expects from that brand?
From calorie count to portion sizes, we wanted to find out all the differences between Heinz products in the UK and the US. This is Food Wars.
That's a lot of ketchup.
Heinz is best known for its ketchup. In the UK, it comes in the following bottle sizes: 250 grams, 342 grams, 460 grams, 570 grams, 700 grams, 910 grams, or our largest size, a 1.35 kilogram bottle.
Well, hang on, why so many sizes? I mean, I have seen all of those sizes, but usually you get the small 250 gram one, the slightly bigger 460, and then usually just the 700 or the 900 on a supermarket shelf. If you go to a chip shop and you want to buy a bottle of tomato sauce, then you might get the 250 gram small one. And if you pop into a little small local shop, like a newsagent's, I don't know what an American equivalent of a newsagent's would be, or if you even have something like that. It's basically a little shop that sells a very small amount of groceries, like what you get at a petrol station, but massively shrunk and no petrol. So really not like a petrol station. But other than that, I'm sure you get the idea. That's where you'd see the 250 gram one. Basically, they'll charge you 10 times the price because they know that you really need it, and they'll give you the smallest amount possible. If you go into a supermarket, you're going to get probably the 700 gram because the price difference between the 460 and the 7 or 900 gram ones, 910 gram ones, is going to be really minimal. They're going to charge you pretty much the same price, so you're going to go for the larger one, and that's usually why there's a difference. The 1.35
I did also find a 1 kilogram bottle online, and I ordered some, but unfortunately it was stolen from the lobby of our building, so just imagine it there.
Heinz ketchup in the US
also it's in demand, isn't it,
a variety of sizes. Down at the end here, we got the 14-ounce bottle, then we go up.
Okay, first thing that I'm seeing here is the US. All of the bottles look more rounded. It's like as if they're trying to describe each population here, is it? I think that's a bit much. And what is that big jug on the end? Is that for watering your garden with?
Up to a 20-ounce bottle. We have a 32-ounce bottle, 38-ounce bottle, and the big juggy guy, 114 ounces. What? This can't be for like a family. I guess if you just like
how much tomato sauce do you need?
Your food and your fingers directly in there?
Now in America, do you have a plate of tomato sauce and then add a couple of food items to it? Or do you just dip your food in it? Because that's a pretty big jug of tomato sauce. That must be commercial, surely.
Nice!
Imagine the amount of sugar in that. Okay, now let's look at this, because your smallest versus our smallest. Yeah, those sizes, they're massively different, aren't they? For a start, why do the UK need so many size options? I really don't get the idea of that. Because we don't buy all of those size options. We just buy, if you only want just a small one to stick in some camping stuff or something like that, or I don't know, you're going on holiday in a caravan in the UK, motorhome or something, then you might buy the little one, or that's because it's the only one they sell. Otherwise, you'd pretty much just go for that 910 gram one, or 700, whichever one is stocked in the supermarket. All of them others, they're just kind of pointless. Whereas in the US, the difference is your 567 and your 907, those centre 2 kind of ones. I guess that you're pretty much going to be missing them as well. And you're either going to be stuck with that really small 397 one, which isn't that small, it's still double the size of ours near enough. But you're either going to be stuck with that because it's the only one that you can get locally, or you're just going to buy the 907 or the 1077 one. If you're a person who's buying that 3.23 kilogram jug of sauce, then you have separate issues. You need to perhaps cut down on that nugget menu. What would you use that? I come to that. I suppose if you're using it for cooking, I'm not sure if or how you would, because the vinegar, I don't know about if there's differences with this sauce, but if you was to heat, or when you do heat tomato sauce, you do get quite a lot of kind of vinegar fumes off it.
Apparently, one serving size for ketchup in the UK is 15 grams, which means that this bottle contains 90 servings. We're going to measure that out and see if it seems realistic. So according to Heinz in the UK, that's one serving of ketchup. That maybe looks like a bit less than what I might normally have with my meal if I was having, say, chips or something else which required dipping, but not too bad.
The US serving size is 1 tablespoon, which Heinz says is 17 grams of ketchup. Let's take a look at that right now. Got to do this. You want to get that ketchup water that comes out first. That's the worst thing in the world. You don't do this, you get that ketchup water. It's like, well, that's ruined. It's like, 10, 13. This is like when you're getting gas, you want to get the exact dollar amount. I've been training for this my whole life. Yay! 17 grams of ketchup. That means that this 114-ounce jug contains 190 servings of this right here. That seems like a reasonable amount.
Here are all the Heinz products from the UK that you won't find in the US. We finally have way more than America. Come on.
And here are all the Heinz products in the US you won't find in the UK. Do they have more than us? I feel like we have more. Let's find out.
In the UK, we can get 2 exclusive varieties of ketchup. We can get ketchup with 50% less added sugar and salt, as well as ketchup with no added sugar and salt.
And these are exclusives here in the US because we have them singularly a no salt added and a no sugar added. Some of the exclusive ketchups we have are jalapeno ketchup. Ooh, a sriracha flavored ketchup.
That sounds quite nice.
Ooh. Not bad, but just tastes more garlicky than anything else. Hot and spicy Tabasco ketchup. Also, we have ketchup with a blend of veggies. Kids approved, I'm assuming this is to trick kids into eating more vegetables. I think it's better than none, right?
Yeah, because we don't really get, like your tomato ketchup with jalapeno and stuff. I think that people from the UK would buy that if it was on offer. And we have other stuff that you can get in the place of, the Heinz version of it. So we do have that type of stuff, just obviously Heinz don't sell it to us. But for the rest of it, we don't really go as much in for the condiments as what you do in the US. If we're going to have a hot dog or a burger, then we're going to put some type of mustard and some type of ketchup or something like that on there. But beyond that, that's pretty much it. If we're having a normal meal, then we might put some mustard on there or some horseradish. But again, that's it pretty much. You might have gravy or stuff, but condiments. If you're going to have something that, like a big salad bowl type thing with something like that, then we might put a vinaigrette, which is, like a kind of a salsa dressing, I guess, like a watery dressing. But we wouldn't really go for very many of those things. Some people might have them in the cupboards and they use them occasionally, but it wouldn't be every day. Some people might, but generally I wouldn't have thought.
I'm curious. It tastes exactly like ketchup, which is good, right? You're trying to trick kids into eating vegetables? This is it. You can also get simple tomato ketchup with no...
Yeah, if we had a sauce that had been spiked with all the vitamins and minerals from vegetables to try and force the vegetables into the kids, we would be really dubious of that. They started adding different vitamins and minerals towards milk to make it, better. But they also added a whole load of sugar to it as well. And there's quite a big uproar in the UK because milk should be pretty much pure milk. So somewhere like Heinz doing it, there's something wholesome about milk, so you're more likely to get away with doing it. But something like ketchup, I don't know, if anybody's dropped some ketchup on a light coloured top, you'll know there's nothing natural about that.
Artificial sweeteners and tomato ketchup sweetened only with honey. Not available at the
Honey?
time of filming this segment.
What the UK might lack in exclusive
That wouldn't
ketchup
be very
options, we
nice.
make up for with our mayonnaise. Over here we can get light mayonnaise. The existence of light mayo implies the existence of a forbidden dark mayo. Just a heads up. We have a vegan mayo option. Our other vegan options include this vegan chili mayo, as well as this vegan mayo / garlic aioli. Then we have some seriously good mayo options, including this garlic and caramelized onion one, as well as this rich and creamy truffle mayo. I don't like how they've had to create a fancy brand of mayo. I feel like nobody should be too good for mayo. If you think you're too good for mayo, you're wrong.
Yeah, these all look good, but in reality, the three things you're going to use is either red tomato sauce of some sort, Heinz or whatever, a brown sauce, HP sauce. There's a couple of different versions, HP and Daddy's and a few others, or a mayonnaise or a salad cream. Beyond that, you don't really use that much. Now, in the mayonnaise, you have got a little bit more variety. You've got things like your jalapeno ketchup and stuff. Well, we're more likely to do that with mayonnaise, not jalapeno, although that does sound pretty nice. But you can get like a chili version, where it's got some spices in it, and we do things like garlic mayonnaise. If you ever do battered mushrooms, the small butter mushrooms, if you ever have those in batter, then a lot of the time you'll get garlic mayo to go with those, which is very, very nice.
The Heinz website also advertised a lemon and black pepper mayo, which unfortunately I couldn't find anywhere.
The mustard option you get in the US
that's
exclusively
not nice.
are the 100% natural spicy brown mustard, a Heinz 100% natural honey mustard, and of course, organic yellow mustard.
Heinz sells two types of mustard in the UK.
Your mustard isn't the same. Your yellow mustard isn't the same as our mustard. Now, English mustard, the proper original yellow English mustard, is very, very hot. Burn your mouth out if you took a teaspoon. And that's the same with our yellow burger mustards, like the sort of thing that they're showing there. If you got a tablespoon of British burger mustard, it'll be a lot more spicy than American burger mustard. And even your honey mustard, basically that's just a sweetened version of standard mustard to us. You can't really taste the honey in it. I don't know if you in the US actually get proper honey tasting one, but ours just tastes a bit sweeter. It is nice, but it's just a bit sweeter.
Mild mustard and a honey mustard, but they were strangely hard to track down. I did find the mild mustard online, but that was also one of the things stolen along with our ketchup, so enjoy that as well.
Barbecue sauces, USA, we love our barbecue. We love our barbecue
Oh yeah, barbecue,
sauces.
I forgot about
The first
that.
one is the Carolina mustard style sweet mustard barbecue sauce. I'm like stoked for this. When these arrived, I was like, hell yeah, I want to try these sauces. Ooh. Fantastic. Yep. We got the Carolina vinegar style sweet and tangy barbecue sauce.
Is there any actual real difference between any of these sauces? So we do have barbecue sauce, and it's basically just, I don't know, a smoked flavour to the sauce. But we only really sometimes you get a honey barbecue, which is basically just a smoked sauce with a bit more sugar in it, basically. Where we have a little bit more variety on the mayonnaise, that seems to be your thing with the barbecue sauce.
There's a Kansas City style sweet and smoky barbecue sauce I could not get at the time of filming this, but I was able to get the original sweet and thick barbecue. I mean, barbecue sauce is like the best thing ever. Well, they
thicker
weren't kidding, that is
yeah.
thick.
Yeah, a thicker barbecue sauce. That's not something that we have in the UK, but it's something that I would want, because if you are going to do something like barbecue sticky ribs or something really nice like that, then all we have is, the thickness and texture that you get with your tomato ketchup or your HP brown sauce, if you have that. I know that you do get it in the US, but I don't know how common or popular it is. But the sort of thickness that you get, but that's pretty much what we get with our brown sauce and our barbecue sauce, and well, all of them, they're all pretty much the same texture. Now, if you're going to do, and they've also got, the same vinegar type content, which is spirit vinegar as well. So if you want to make barbecued sticky ribs, then you want a thicker sauce. You don't want all those vapours coming off it from the spirit vinegar. You want to be able to kind of really base it, have it turn out how you're picturing in your mind, whereas it's not until that sauce has been baked up quite a lot by the barbecue that it really starts to thicken up, which means that it then goes all over the barbecue and just makes a real mess everywhere. So you're a lot less likely to actually do it. So if we could get a thicker type sauce for making like sticky ribs and stuff like that, then we would buy it, we would use it. But it is pretty much a seasonal thing for us, isn't it? Because we only really got 3 months a year when we're likely to be outside having barbecues.
The Texas barbecue sauce, bold and spicy, just like the state.
Yeah, I think I might have seen that in the
Also
UK
thick.
actually.
Oh my goodness. I did this one or this one. These are the two
Just
best
not
ones.
thick.
I can't decide, Carolina or Texas.
We only have 2 barbecue sauce options in the UK, a sweet barbecue sauce and a classic barbecue sauce. I'm not sure how it compares to the
totally.
original sweet option in the US or how they've managed to kind of isolate those 2 flavors. I don't think like a...
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at earlier. I think that when ours say sweet, they just mean it's got a little bit more sugar. When yours say sweet, they mean it's got a lot more sugar.
Original/classic can be a flavor in itself.
Vinegars! Let's go. Distilled white vinegar, 5% acidity. What does it mean by 5% acidity? Great question. Well, you see, I have no
It means
idea.
heartburn.
Then we also got the Heinz gourmet malt vinegar. We also have a salad vinegar, gourmet salad vinegar. Yum. We have a gourmet.
Yeah, the vinaigrettes, we do get quite a few different types of those. They keep trying to sell them to us more and more, so that if you're going to have a salad, then you'll pour some of that vinaigrette on it. And you do get different flavours with it, but the flavours are pretty subtle compared to the vinegar type taste and fumes that you get off it, I guess.
Gourmet tarragon vinegar. Ooh.
Yeah,
All
we wouldn't get
natural
anything
apple
like that.
cider vinegar, a organic, unfiltered apple cider vinegar with the mother, question mark, question mark, question mark. Yeah, I don't know what that means either. We have a Heinz all-natural, multi-purpose, extra-strength vinegar with a 6% acidity, and of course, the Heinz imported balsamic vinegar from Modena.
While in the UK, Heinz just has malt vinegar, which I couldn't find
Would you
today, but it does
notice?
go great on your fish and chips.
We have got so
Yeah, no, we do get quite a few vinegars. That's not quite right. We get white spirit vinegar, which is the one that he's got in the background there. It looks like a big bottle of water. That will give you pretty much instant heartburn. We have pickled onions in that, but not the big pickled onions. We put the smaller ones, which are called silver skin pickled onions in the UK. Basically, the size of your thumbnail, about 100 of them in a jar with white spirit vinegar. And we're more likely to use it for different types of cooking and stuff. Plus, people that are gluten-free would go for spirit vinegar products versus the brown vinegar because that's got barley extract in it. So if you're wheat intolerant and gluten-free celiac, then you're not going to have brown vinegar. Or any of the sauces that contain brown vinegar, you're only going to go for ones that contain that white, clear spirit vinegar. We also have all of the vinaigrettes that we put on salads and stuff and in different meals, but you would only really put it on some type of salad leaves. And then we have the traditional brown vinegar, which we put in the jars for the large pickled onions and different bits like that, and you put on your fish and chips. Although if you go to a chip shop, you're not actually getting vinegar, you're getting something that's kind of made up to taste like vinegar. There's no actual vinegar, no actual brown vinegar in it. So if you are wheat intolerant or celiac, then if you go to a chip shop and you want vinegar, assuming that you can get chips that are gluten-free, I guess, then the vinegar that you're going to get is also going to be usually gluten-free. You'll have to check each time, but the stuff that you get at chip shops, it's not actual vinegar, it's not brown vinegar, it's just something to taste like vinegar. If we're going to have pickled beetroot or anything like that, or pickled cabbage, then that usually goes in white spirit vinegar. So we kind of have enough vinegar type products and vinaigrettes to make everything that we want, but we don't have anywhere near the range that you have in the US. But we also have a lot colder climate, generally speaking, so we're not going to be having as many salad type things as what you perhaps are.
many gravies. Gravy, as I know it, you pour it on mashed potatoes and sometimes turkey. It's like a brown sauce, sometimes a white sauce. You can also get biscuits and gravy for breakfast, which is fantastic. That sauce is white. We got a lot of different variations of gravy. I can't be the US gravy ambassador, all right? I didn't ask for this job. And no.
Okay, what he's calling gravy there, we don't call that gravy. He might be also on about gravy, but the looks of those jars, they look like what we would call sauce. So if you're going to make a lasagna, that white sauce that you put with it, you would probably call it white gravy. We call that white sauce. If you're going to have pasta with a cheese flavoured sauce in it, we'd call that macaroni with cheese sauce, white cheese sauce. If you're going to make spaghetti bolognese and you want the bolognese stuff to put in there, that tomatoey, meaty stuff or whatever you've bought, we would call that bolognese sauce. Now I know that sauce is also used for the name of those bottles on the left of the screen, the ketchup and so on, but we just call them all sauce. We don't call them gravy. Gravy is a thing that we get from Bisto or Oxo, which is that brown, beefy tasting, slightly watery stuff that, well, not that watery, but that brown stuff that you pour over your roast turkey dinner. Now that's what we call gravy, because it is gravy. And we invented the language, so we must be right. There go all my American viewers.
No point in the interview and there was like, well, you know a lot about gravies, right? And if I said I did, I lied, all right? Please revoke my gravy ambassador status, and I'm sorry for deceiving the people of Food Insider. Heinz homestyle gravy with mushroom. There's mushrooms in it. I see gravy twice a year, once at Thanksgiving and once when I go to Jollibee. And then you got the savory beef gravy.
Yeah, I guess it is kind of a twofold, because where he's calling that gravy, we do get jars of actual gravy, like the stuff that you put on your Sunday dinner, on your roast dinner. We call it a Sunday dinner because we're more likely to have a big dinner that involves, a joint of meat and things like that. We'll have that on a Sunday traditionally, just because it takes more time to cook, and that's when you got more time to cook that sort of stuff. And you can get jars of ready-made gravy, actual gravy that now I can see a gravy bowl there, so maybe that is proper gravy. Let's watch it. He might be on about actual gravy. It might be me that's got it totally wrong. When you say gravy, you really do mean gravy.
Gravy, bistro au jus. Signature gravy, rich and savory, made with roasted turkey. Let's go. We got the country style sausage gravy. This goes, see, he's pouring it on biscuits. It's a breakfast. It's a breakfast gravy. It comes with a country sausage and hash brown.
No, that does look like actual gravy, like home pouring gravy, rather than the cooking sauce, which is what we would call the stuff that you stick with, like if it's making a homemade curry or something like that, we'd call it a cooking sauce, or that's the brand for it. But it's basically a bit like, well, it's one of them jars of stuff that you add into whatever you're making, spaghetti bolognese or a homemade curry or whatever. But we do tend to call them usually sauces rather than gravies. If you order gravy in the UK from, if you're eating out or something, then you're more likely just to get the stuff that you'd pour on your turkey or your chicken or something like that. Not that type of stuff. We would generally call that sauce. But we do get lots of different varieties, the same as what you've got there. We just call them different names, I think.
Recipe.
Joe, I don't know what that is, but that is not gravy. That looks horrific, especially that creamy stuff. Yeah. Like, why is it white? Gravy should never be white.
Classic chicken gravy. This is like not white.
Yeah, he didn't even show any of the gravy. But basically, we do have normal gravy, but only the meaty, beefy tasting stuff that you'd put on a main roast dinner. Everything else that you'd put into meals to make them, like when you add that sauce to pasta, to make macaroni cheese or to make a lasagna, or that other beefy, tomatoey stuff that you stick with your spaghetti to make spaghetti bolognese, we call them sauce. They're just sauces, cooking type sauces. Cooking sauce is the brand, and so the name's kind of sprung a bit from that perhaps, but they're just usually called sauce. Just not as in tomato. So if you're at a pub and you ask for some sauce to go with your meal, they're not going to bring you out one of them jars. They're going to bring you out some tomato ketchup or HP brown sauce or something. Well, I think about it, it just makes us look kind of pedantic, doesn't it? Because we're very specific about what we're naming each bottle near enough. But it does mean that we always know exactly what we want, even though we call them all sauce. So maybe we don't know what we want.
White, it's more of like a khaki colored gravy. Now that isn't even close to the amount of gravies you can get in the US. I went to several grocery stores, looking for these gravies, as many as I could find. So I'm gonna rattle off the list. Signature rich and savory gravy with real roasted chicken, the home style brown with onion gravy, Heinz homestyle classic chicken fat-free gravy, homestyle pork gravy, and last but not least, homestyle savory beef.
You can get jars of gravy like that in the UK, but usually they're in a powder form or in stock cubes. The powder form is usually 3 or 4 teaspoons of powder to a cup of boiling water. But the other thing is as well, kettles. In the UK, we all pretty much have kettles in every single kitchen. You fill it up half full, you get 2 or 3 cups of boiling water out of it. It takes 2 minutes to boil. A lot of UK kettles now are ones where they give you a single shot of water as well. So you press it and it takes about 20 seconds to give you an instant shot of hot water. Whereas I know that in the US, if you want boiling water, you'd heat it on a pan, wouldn't you, or in a microwave? Which that's what we did in the 60s before we had kettles as a readily thing. Some old cottages, that they might have an old traditional kettle that you put on a gas stove, but we've just not done that for years and years and years. I don't really know why you've not moved on from that, but I think it's because we drink coffee and tea, perhaps a lot more. There again, you drink just as much coffee, so I don't know why. Every time you want to make a cup of coffee, does that mean that you're microwaving the water, or that you're boiling the water on a stove to make your coffee? Because that seems like a really long-winded way. And it also explains why you don't drink as much hot drinks. But also as well, we don't go for cold coffee and cold tea. Yeah, we live in a pretty temperate climate, so we're more likely to have a hot drink than a cold drink. But yeah, so the gravy you would make by adding a bit of boiling water to a bit of powder, and then you'd get your thick gravy. You can buy them in the jars already ready done and then just heat them up, but unless you just can't be bothered to make it, which, that's getting more and more, but you're not really going to go for those jars as much unless there's a specific flavour out that you think, oh, that sounds nice, I'll give that a try. But usually you wouldn't bother.
Fat-free gravy.
British gravy is either made from the juices and drippings of a roast dinner or made by adding water to some gravy granules. Not a Heinz brand, just a good brand. I like this though. Thankfully, we don't have any of that American gravy in the UK, but what we do have is salad cream, or salad queen, as it's currently called in honour of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. It's just what Liz would have wanted, I'm sure. Now, Americans, don't be alarmed.
Yeah, I don't know about that cream bit. Never heard of that bit. The salad cream, I didn't know you didn't get that in the US. It's basically like mayonnaise, but a little bit, I wouldn't say more vinegary, it's just got a different flavour. It's not quite as thick, not quite as creamy, but it is very, very nice. If you're just going to stick some mayonnaise with, I don't know, to dip some scampi in or something, that'd be quite nice. If you're going to have something like salad leaves or something like that, then you would probably use salad cream. So maybe it's a cross between a mayonnaise with a bit of vinaigrette in there, and that's where you get salad cream. Not really sure how to describe that.
By salad cream. I know the name sounds a little off-putting, but it's actually not that bad. It's basically just mayo that they've added some kind of vinegar and also a little bit of sugar to. So it's kind of like a tangy mayo, which you can add to your salads or to your sandwiches. I feel like with Americans, some of the things that they pass off as salads, they have no right to criticize a salad cream. You ever seen, I think it's like ambrosia salad in America, which is basically just...
Well, what's salady about that? Well, there's green in there, but I think it's on top of cheese.
Loads of mayo anyway.
Pickles and relish. I think relish is just okay. Not a fan of pickles.
When I was saying salad, I meant actual, green leaves. Them actual greenery. Actual kind of, salad stuff, not whatever that bar was.
The hot dog relish, why is it this color? Why is it this color? If I got a hot dog and they put this relish on it, I'd be like, yeah, you're making it again without that. Dill relish, right? Just straightforward from dill pickles, or they added dill to it. What do you think? Burger fans, get yourself a hamburger dill chips. Other pickle stroke.
Dill chips. What was that?
Burger fans, get yourself a hamburger dill.
That looks like gherkin. Is that pickled gherkin? If it is, then we have that, but wouldn't be called hamburger dill chips or anything like that. Just chips in the US just refer to the type of cut. The fact that it's slices of gherkin. We do get pickled gherkin and stuff, and in slices like that, but it's just called pickled gherkin.
Chips. Other pickle stroke relish options that we have here in the US are genuine, whole, original sour dill pickles, spicy garlic chip.
Yeah, we just call them gherkins. We do get them whole like that as well, but they're just gherkins in white vinegar.
With garlic and
white vinegar isn't white, so I don't really know why it's called white vinegar.
Red pepper. Sweet and spicy chips with crushed red pepper, sweet gherkins.
We don't have Heinz Pickles in the UK, but we do have Heinz Pickle. This is an important distinction to make in the UK, as if you ask for just pickle singular on your sandwich, you'll end up with this. This is an iconic British condiment which is either served as part of your ploughman's lunch or on a sandwich like a cheese and pickle. It's a thick condiment made with some cooked vegetables like carrots, swedes, cauliflower and onions, all served in this kind of thick, tangy sauce. We also have...
Yeah, it tastes a lot nicer than it looks or sounds from his explanation. But if you're going to have, say, a cheese sandwich, you would put a big dollop of that on it, and it's very, very nice. The vegetable part, you don't really notice that. It's just mainly a pickled, tangy, nice, sweet sauce, but not too sweet.
Heinz Piccalilli in the UK. It's sort of similar to Ploughman's pickle in that it's a spreadable condiment with some crunchy cooked vegetables inside, but it's also different because it's got the mustard base, which gives it this distinctive yellow colour. I will say it's kind of an old person's condiment. I don't think you'll really see anyone under the age of like 50 or so in the UK rushing for the Piccalilli, but it is tasty.
Next up, Heinz US offers a bunch of specialty sauces. Heinz 57 sauce. Real talk, I've never heard of this before this video. It says that it adds zest to chicken, steak, or pork. This is gonna sound like a weird thing to say, but doesn't this look really good? So?
No, I don't really know what that is, but it doesn't look really good either. I think there's a reason why we don't have that one.
Let's find out. First, the sniff test. I like how it smells. I like how it smells. Oh. There we go. Yeah, that's really good. I can't place my finger on exactly what it is. Ah, secret blend of premium herbs and spices. Oh man, it's like liquid KFC apparently.
Oh.
It's like a mustard base, but like a sweeter, zestier like punctuation to it.
Well, it generally sounds quite nice, but I'm not sure I'd stick it on a roast chicken. Maybe have it as a dip or something.
Ooh, Heinz 57 chili sauce. I gotta say, Heinz, don't be putting this great on burgers or fries. Don't tell me to put my sauce on. I'll brush my teeth with this if I want to. You can't stop me. Yeah. That would be great on my burgers or fries. The Heinz original cocktail sauce, I'm not opening this. You know, shrimp, you get it. Cocktails. I have no opinion on cocktails.
Yeah, we do get seafood type tasting sauce, which I guess is your cocktail sauce. It doesn't look like that because that looks like tomato sauce. If we're going to have some type of seafood sauce, which is basically the pinky, well, the stuff that you put with prawns, shrimps, whatever you're calling them, it's generally more pink coloured, and it's basically a cross between mayonnaise and tomato ketchup mixed together, which is actually really nice.
Worcestershire sauce. Couldn't get my hands on it. But I do think that's weird that Heinz also makes his own Worcestershire sauce? Worcestershire.
Worcestershire.
Is that right? Now they also own Leah and Perrins. So are they competing against themselves? I don't think so. I think they just bought it because they're...
Yeah, Leah and Perry and Worcestershire sauce, I think that they are a bit different in taste, aren't they? Is it just a branding difference?
For Heinz, you think like, I'm not getting the Heinz Worcestershire sauce, I'm getting the Leah and Perrins. That joke's on you, Heinz gets paid on all that.
Firstly, that should be speciality sauces with the extra I, and secondly, in the UK, we also have a range of speciality condiments.
Worcestershire sauce, I don't know if you get, like ready noodle type things. So if you get some type of Chinese noodle where you stick hot water with it, and we call them super noodles or pot noodles. But if you've got a chicken and mushroom flavour or something, then you put a few glugs of Worcester sauce or Leah and Perry or soy sauce with it.
We have an American-style smoky baconaise sauce, and also an American-style burger sauce. Do these actually look or feel American to you, Joe?
Yes, that looks like sauce that we would potentially have.
Then we have a Thai-style sweet chili sauce. British people love Thai sweet chili sauce. I don't know where that association came from, but I'm not going to complain because it's delicious. Then we have a Turkish...
I think it's just that we don't get that many spicy sauces, not really. So I think that if Heinz or someone bought out anything that had some type of, ketchup with jalapeno or something like that, then people will probably buy it because people do like spicy stuff. It's just that you don't tend to get it that much in the general off-the-shelf condiments.
Turkish-style garlic sauce. I think this is kind of a nod to the Turkish-style kebab shops, which are so popular in the UK.
Yeah, we get mint yogurt, which is what that stuff I think is. If you're going to buy a kebab, I assume you have kebabs in the US. If you don't, then well, not worth describing. Look it up on the internet. I'm not sure what you would describe it as. But the kind of meaty stuff that you stick in a pita bread, that's when you'd use that sauce. But a chip shop, it's usually a bit sweeter than what you get out of those smaller tubs.
Okay, drunk kebab is one of the best pleasures in life. Speaking of drunk food, we also have Heinz curry sauce in the UK. You don't have to be drunk to enjoy it, but it does help. Cheesy chips and curry sauce is a big British hit. Next up, we have a spiced pineapple chutney, as well as a North African-style spicy kebab sauce made with chili and onion.
Doesn't ketchup and mustard come in the same bottle? We all exclaim to the heavens. Apparently Heinz has a whole thing called sauces mixed by Heinz, because God forbid you just do it yourself. Some of these, I mean, I didn't even know you wanted them together to begin with. Who knows how they figured this out? Honey Racha, what do you think that is? Surely you watching at home understand the value of having a bottle of sriracha and a bottle of honey. The amount of times you mix them must pale in comparison the amount of times you don't need to mix them. Actually, that's pretty good though. Then we got mayo chip.
Yeah, we wouldn't tend to mix sauces like that, and if we saw it in a bottle, we'd think it was just some weird novelty thing. We probably wouldn't buy it. But if you wanted to make prawn cocktails, so you know your prawns or shrimps or whatever you're calling them, in that seafood tasting sauce with a bit of lettuce, then if you're going to make that at home, then you'd use mayonnaise and tomato ketchup. 3/4 mayonnaise, 1/4 tomato ketchup, and that will give you the same type of taste.
Yep. Yeah, mayo and ketchup together at last.
Yeah, that's the seafood sauce.
Oh God, nope. Even by these standards, it's really bad. Up next.
Yeah, I don't know what that version tastes like. I'm on about just what it is that we would have. But you do get proper versions called seafood sauce. I don't know whether you get that in the US or not.
Cranch. Let's call it ranch and ketchup. Two things I never combine anyway. Oh, there's like chunks of shit in it too. Now this one, okay. Both the ketchup connection ones, this tastes almost exactly like ranch, and the ketchup mayo one, was it mayo chip? Tastes just like mayo. Buffalo ranch. I'll concede. Buffalo and ranch and the same thing. I understand this one. Oh, that was the bottle, not me. That was me. I went from hating this to loving it in like 2 seconds. This might be genius. I'm taking this one. This is actually pretty good. And this would go really good on any potatoes or fries. Of course on chicken. Oh my God, with popcorn chicken, this would be ideal. Oh my God, mayo must. This one works just fine. You know, it's like, it tastes like a creamy mustard. You can also get yourself a mayo racha sauce. And, oh God. And this last one, come on guys. Sweet chili sauce, which I'm assuming is sweet ketchup and chili sauce.
I've got a feeling that most of those are probably just predominantly the main taste of whatever one's the nicest of the two, and they've just stuck a new label on it and changed the colour a bit, because they look like, mostly they just tasted like the original products. I think that they're more gimmick ones, aren't they?
Mixed sauce option in the UK, and it's this, saucy sauce. I'm not sure why they've gone with this name instead of mayo chop, because as far as I can see, it is just mayo and ketchup combined.
Another thing worth touching upon
I've never seen
is
it.
HP versus A1 sauce. The great HP-A1 divide. I mean, that's literally like a rip through the Atlantic Ocean. It's a sauce that's meant to be on.
Yeah, we have something similar in the UK, assuming that that's just your two main brands for brown sauce. We have Daddy's brown sauce and HP brown sauce. I've got a feeling that HP brown sauce is a little bit more kind of vinegary than Daddy's, but I don't know that I've even seen Daddy's sold for quite a while. But there again, you don't get that much brown sauce sold. It's not anywhere near as popular as tomato ketchup in the UK, and it's a bit meal specific as well. If somebody's going to have corned beef hash, so that's mashed potatoes with corned beef, you would cut it, not minced beef, it's different. I'm not sure how to explain corned beef, but either way you'd stick brown sauce with that. Whereas if you was going to have some chips, you're more likely to stick your tomato ketchup with it.
Meat, mostly steak and hamburgers.
In the UK, Heinz produces another iconic condiment, HP sauce. It's a sauce which is also designed to be enjoyed with meats like sausages or on your bacon sandwich. I'm more of a ketchup on the bacon sandwich guy, but you do you.
You have to understand that when A1 sauce dropped, it was that time in the 80s where marketing was so crazy effective. Obviously there's no internet, so we all watched the same 5 to 10 channels, and you couldn't look at a TV without seeing an A1 steak sauce commercial from like 1985 to 1989.
Oh, it's the steak sauce.
A1 steak sauce, and it was on the table, and we just put it on and like, you know, licking the knife like, oh yeah, A1, look at us, we got A1. This is nasty. I'm not nostalgic for it, I don't like it, I don't put sauces on meats like steak. Oh God, it's so tangy. HP sauce is better than this. I forgot to bring my bottle.
To give you an idea of just how British this sauce is, HP actually stands for Houses of Parliament, as you can maybe infer from the fact that they are right there on the label. HP sauce is part of a subcategory of sauces in the UK which are called brown sauces. While it might not sound very appetizing, it's really popular in the UK, as evidenced by the fact that it's not even the only brown sauce Kraft Heinz produces. We also have Daddy's brown sauce.
Oh, I did notice from...
Yes, this is a...
Yeah, I did notice all from Heinz. I just know that there's just a little bit difference in taste, but also you tend to get Daddy sauce sold as the cheaper of the two products. So if you are going to get a bit of space on a shelf dedicated to brown sauce in a smaller shop, then I'm more likely to stick Daddy sauce on there rather than HP sauce.
The real thing. It wouldn't be a Heinz episode unless I talked about baked beans. In the UK, Heinz doesn't just manufacture condiments, but also an enormous range of canned goods. The most iconic of these is probably Heinz beans. I'd say Heinz is probably the gold standard for baked beans in the UK.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's true. Branston beans are much, much nicer than Heinz beans. A lot creamier, thicker sauce, and the beans are a lot softer. Whereas Heinz sauce is a lot more runny, a bit more tinny tasting, and the beans are more like bullets compared to Branston. But that's just my opinion, which means that I'm right.
As you may know, British people love to eat baked beans with a range of dishes, including a full English breakfast, sausage, mash and beans, fish fingers, chips and beans, and of course, beans on toast.
Baked beans. So I'm gonna say it right off the bat, gonna show my Americanness right now. Beans for breakfast sounds absurd. Now granted, we have sausage gravy on potatoes and chicken fried steak, so I know that our breakfasts are very questionable.
Yeah, but that one gravy, which is like a cooking sauce, she was putting that on the breakfast as well. You're not just on about putting your tomato ketchup on your breakfast, you're on about putting those actual sauces on there. You're just putting gravy on your breakfast. That's those things on the right in the jars. You would call them sauce still, but I mean the ones in the jars on the right hand side of the screen, not the tomato ketchup stuff on the left. We'd put the tomato sauce on our breakfast, but we wouldn't dream of putting gravy on our breakfast. Whether you called it gravy, sauce or bazooka rust, we still wouldn't put it on our breakfast.
Beans for breakfast, like beans on toast? No. No, thank you.
My only issue with Heinz beans is the stupid beans with a Z spelling. I think it was part of some marketing campaign from back in like the 80s or the 70s, and they just never let it go. But I will say, British beans are generally served in quite a sweet...
Yeah, that's a great idea, isn't it? Because, you know, people are really good at spelling nowadays, aren't they? So, you know, misspelling a brand, that's a great idea.
tomatoey sauce, which does go with quite a few dishes. I feel like American beans are different.
Yeah, beans like here, like they're baked. They usually come in like a barbecue sauce or a barbecue-like sauce. You get them at barbecue places, right? Like picnic food, right?
Beans aren't even the only canned goods that Heinz sells in the UK. They have a huge range of soups, canned pastas.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the things with the beans. Probably one of the reasons why they're more popular in the UK than what they are in the US. It might be just how you're getting them, the quality of them, what they taste like, what's in them. So when you end up with beans in the US, they're probably just completely different to what you'd get baked beans in the UK. But also, if you've never tried having beans on toast, then you need to try it before making your final decision, because I think you might be a little bit surprised, especially if you add a little bit of cheese to it.
And more. Heinz soups are pretty highly regarded in the UK. I like the big soups because I feel like a standard can of soup isn't enough for an actual meal, but some of the other flavours are really good. The classic tomato can't really be beaten. Heinz canned pastas don't have quite the same reputation, but I will fight to the death to defend the beef ravioli. I ate so
you
much
don't
of that.
have any type of tin soup in the US at all? Or what about cup of soups, which is like a powdered version of a soup? Do you have anything like that?
Growing up, and I still have such a strong nostalgic attachment to it that if anyone criticises it, you know where to find me. Then there are even more food options from Heinz in the UK, including jars of pasta sauce, salad dressings, and veggie burger options. Heinz covers so many product areas in the UK that they even have a huge range of baby foods. I picked up this peach, mango, banana.
Yeah, I wouldn't buy, if you want baby food, I'm going to go for a baby food brand. I'm not going to go for Heinz. It just doesn't seem right. It's probably perfectly fine and everything, but it just doesn't seem right.
An apple one because it sounds delicious, and I am technically older than 4 months, so I think I can eat this.
Here's everything in Heinz ketchup in the US. Tomato concentrate from red ripe tomatoes, distilled vinegar, high fructose corn syrup, salt, spice, onion powder, natural flavor.
Here's everything on the ingredients list for ketchup in the UK. Tomatoes, spirit vinegar, sugar, salt, spice and herb extracts contain celery and spice.
There are a few obvious differences.
Right, so corn syrup. That's the thing, isn't it? You have I don't even think that corn syrup's allowed in a lot of our products. I know that we are getting it in more and more products, so people are obviously finding ways to get it through the law, but I'm sure that corn syrup was stopped in the UK.
Differences between the two lists, the spices listed are slightly different, with ours explicitly containing onion powder.
That's not to say the UK.
Yeah, but it's not just the onion powder though, is it? Tomato, vinegar, sugar, corn syrup. Yeah, exactly. As is just standard sugar, it's not high fructose corn syrup. Plus then you've also got corn syrup, spices and herbs, again, a little bit ominous in what can come under that. We've got celery rather than onion powder, and we've got spice put down separate. Yeah, our spice and herbs, they're listed separately because of the celery in it, and then spice afterwards, just so that they can highlight the fact it's got celery in it because of allergies. You've just listed spice and onion powder, well, that would be alright, there's nothing wrong with that. It's basically your high fructose corn syrup instead of sugar, and then you're also having corn syrup on top of that. So does that mean double corn syrup? Double sugar?
It doesn't also contain onion powder, as it may just fall under the spice and herb extracts subcategory in the UK. Our label also explicitly lists celery as an ingredient, largely for allergen purposes.
In the US, our ketchup is sweetened with both corn syrup and high fructose corn syrup, while in the UK, they just sweeten theirs with sugar.
Americans put corn syrup in absolutely everything because it's cheaper for food producers to use when compared to real sugar.
That's because corn farmers in the US receive huge subsidies from the government, more than $116 billion. Since 1995, leading to massive corn production. We also have tariffs which make it more expensive to import real sugar.
There isn't really a health difference when
You're just saying there isn't a health difference, but like I say, I'm sure that for a long time at least, corn syrup wasn't even allowed in the UK.
comparing the consumption of sugar and corn syrup, but there can be a discernible taste difference. For example, American Coca-Cola is flavored with high fructose corn syrup, while Mexican Coke is flavored with sugar. When comparing the tastes of the two, some people said that the American version was an even sweeter taste, but also had a slightly chemical flavor.
Are there any?
Yeah, I thought, I might be completely wrong, so somebody add in the comments if you actually know, but I thought that corn syrup tasted quite a few times more sweet than standard sugar, which is why the companies first started to use it. And then on top of that, it wasn't very good for you because it was so high in sugars. It was much worse for you than standard sugar. And for that reason, I thought that the UK stopped using it and the EU banned it in some areas, and I thought that we were one of those areas. But I have seen corn syrup in some British products, so I know that it does get through, but I thought that that's exactly it. I thought that they were just finding a way to get around the law. But the way that he said that then makes it as if it was never actually banned, and I might have just got that completely wrong. So if anybody knows, add it to the comment section, and if it was stopped from the UK and EU, then why?
Any other ingredients to look out for across Heinz product range? In the US, we have pickles that contain polysorbate 80, a chemical used in foods like pickles and ice cream as an emulsifier and a solubilizer. A solubilizer. Solubilizer? Solubilizer. The bad news is that studies have suggested it can cause colon cancer in mice. You know what that means? Give me them dancing rats. Also in the US, our Heinz colors its sausage gravy with titanium.
Yeah, there's quite a few different products that you have in US foods that are known to cause things like cancers or Alzheimer's and all sorts of other different things like that, where they're just not allowed in the UK or EU countries because they're known to be harmful and carcinogenic. So we just wouldn't have those. But it seems that in the US, they're in all of your foods and it's just allowed. Why or how, I can only assume that money is involved, because if it was down to sensible decisions, you wouldn't be having those in your meals.
Dioxide. This is a white dye most commonly used in paints and varnishes. Delicious. Its use in food is controversial. Studies show it has harmful effects on animals during scientific tests, leading the European Union to ban it from use in foods starting in August of 2022.
Yeah, but if something's harmful to animals during the testing, doesn't that also then indicate that it's likely to be harmful to humans when it's consumed? If you put the idea of animal testing, whether you agree with it or not, a side point, if you've done animal testing and it's showed a negative reaction in whatever form, then that's an indication that you probably shouldn't be going ahead with that product. If it's causing something very serious, then you really shouldn't be going ahead with that product. And yet they are. Okay.
Due to Brexit, however, the UK is no longer bound by EU rules about food. Unfortunately for Brits and Americans, our respective food safety authorities have actually disagreed with the EU ruling, so we may still see titanium dioxide popping up in our food.
Oh great, so we're going to be eating it as well. That's just fabulous. Yeah, we left the EU for many different reasons, but one of them wasn't so that we can get poisoned with our food. We were thinking more about things like country security and financial prosperity and things like that. Not really how can we poison ourselves the quickest through allowing backdoor foods in.
Here's everything in 100 grams of original ketchup in the UK. 102 calories, 0.1 grams of total fat, of which 0 grams are saturates, 23.2 grams of carbs, of which 22.8 grams are sugars, and 720 milligrams of sodium.
Here's everything in 100 grams of ketchup in the US. 117 calories, no fat, 29.4 carbs, and of that, 23.5 grams of that is sugar, and the sodium is 941 milligrams.
Okay, so except for the amount of salt that you've got in there. So you've got a little bit more sugar, and you've got a little bit more on the carbs, and quite a bit more on the salt, the sodium. But other than that, it's not too bad. And that is 100 grams, that's probably a meal's worth, isn't it?
Other than the trace amounts of fat in the UK ketchup, the US stats are higher in every category.
Now these stats are for 100 grams of ketchup, which is roughly 5 times the recommended serving size, which is 1 tablespoon. That's still...
Yeah, think about it. Because I know that if you're going to put a blob of sauce on the side of your plate, I was thinking, yeah, you're going to put a big squirt that's probably going to be 50 grams, 100 grams. But yeah, you wouldn't actually eat all of that, though, would you? A lot of it would end up being wasted, I guess, wouldn't it? So in the amount that you would, and they're talking about recommended serving sizes, which are no doubt a lot smaller than actual serving sizes. So you're probably going to actually have about 50 grams on your plate. You're probably going to eat 30 grams of it.
Still a surprising amount of sugar and sodium. Just 100 grams of ketchup in the US contain almost half your daily...
Well, yeah, that is a good point, actually, isn't it? Because never mind the differences between UK and US, look at how much is actually in it. So if we halve those, thinking that you're not going to eat 100 grams worth, they reckon that's 5 or 6 portions or whatever. But say if we halve it to make it easy maths, that's 11 grams. Even if you quartered it, thinking about 5 or 6 grams of sugar in a little blob of ketchup. Now, a gram of sugar is pretty much a teaspoon of sugar, isn't it? And the salt. How can you even get that much salt into such a small amount of food?
Sugar allowance, as well as 40% of your daily sodium.
It's also worth checking out the serving size because...
I was thinking that salt didn't look like it was too much. There's only a little bit of differences, and it was in micrograms, but they're on about that's 40% of your daily serving. But that's per 100. So really, and if it's with your meal, then that's, I suppose, with everything else, it probably adds up. But that's probably not too far off what you would expect, I guess. Keeping in mind that what you expect isn't necessarily what you know is good or bad, just what you expect to see.
Because companies have a habit of underestimating these. Let's bring back the serving size we measured earlier.
Yeah.
I still think that's a little bit smaller than what I'd normally add to my plate, so I'm going to add some more to it and then figure out the stats for what I think is a realistic serving size. I don't think that's unrealistic. Judge me if you want. That's actually more than double the recommended serving size, coming in at around 31 grams. Let's figure it out.
Okay, so if I had fries, I'd probably go not that long, right? This is 20.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I thought. Yeah, a blob. He's saying that's 30 grams, so that means that you're probably eating 20 grams of it.
20 grams. That doesn't seem so bad.
Yeah,
and also,
good, yeah.
I don't think I'm eating.
Okay, yeah. So now we've got the proper printout on that for the amount you're actually going to be consuming thereabouts. Because you're still on about 5 teaspoons of sugar in that blob of ketchup, aren't you? That's quite a lot, isn't it?
You know that. I don't think all of this is getting my body. I think this to be smeared around. So here in America, not concerned.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, how much are you actually eating of
it?
you,
Papa. I like pickled onion. I like piccalilli. Pickled cabbage is all right with bubble and squeak on a Friday night. I like tomatoes, but what I do prefer is a little bit of I come, you come, we come, a little bit of cucumber. Oi! Ta-da! Imagine when that dropped in like 1920. People would have lost their minds.
Okay. I think they're pretty much at the end of their video. I don't really know what to think about this, because I've seen what they're showing that we've got in the UK, and I've seen all of those products. I know that we do have them in the UK, but I don't know how much of them are regularly sold in some sort of proportions as, say, the tomato ketchup and brown sauce and stuff like that. Soup, I'm surprised that you don't have soup in the US. I know that you've got nice sunny parts to the US, but you've also got cold parts to the US. Surely you make soup. And if you make soup, then surely you want a more convenient way of having soup without having to make it. So I'm surprised that tins of soup aren't a thing in the US, which means that also powdered soups probably also aren't a thing in the US. Especially if you're going camping or something, you can take a flask of hot water and some cup of soups, which is the powdered soup. So you just add the powder to it in your cup, and then you've got a nice hot soup while you're out camping. You could also have an actual tin of soup, but it's camping, isn't it? Beans, I think that there's probably a taste difference and also just a perspective difference towards what beans are like. And if you're just getting hard shell type beans added into a chili or something like that, then that's really going to turn you off the idea of beans. But if you actually try something like, I'm not sure about Heinz beans, like I said earlier, I do prefer Branston beans because they're a lot nicer and a lot thicker, creamier sauce. And I'm pretty sure they also tend to do the ring pull tops, which is also a lot more nice and convenient. But if you try some decent beans on toast, then you'd probably be converted. The main difference is with the American stuff is the amount of sauces that you have. But I know that you stick ranch dressing on everything, but I don't really know what ranch dressing is. I don't know what it tastes like. We do have things like the mayonnaise and garlic mayonnaise and some type of burger dressings and things like that, but we don't tend to use them. That's what it really comes down to. If we're going to have a burger, we'd stick some tomato ketchup and some yellow mustard on there. Probably American mustard, actually, which isn't particularly spicy because not all people like spice. So a burger van or a burger stall or whatever you would want to call it, something you get at the seaside or at a fair selling you burgers and hot dogs, they would have American-styled sauce because it's not spicy. Basically just a sweet blob of stuff to add to your burger. If we're going to have actual mustard on stuff, especially if it's English mustard, then it's much, much hotter than the American version. And I think that horseradish, I'm not sure if you even get horseradish in the US, but I'm sure I saw a video recently where it was someone from the US came to the UK and they tried horseradish and they didn't realise how spicy it was, and it nearly burnt their head off. So I think that we tend to go for the basics of sauce: tomato ketchup, mayonnaise, barbecue sauce, salad cream. We might have a few ranch dressing type things here and there, but they're pretty much seasonal for summer barbecues, and our summer's pretty much 3 months long, so they're not going to get a look in for most of the year. But for the rest of the year, then, for 3 months, the cold season, I guess, you're going to get a lot more people consuming things like soup. Gravy is the beef flavoured stuff or chicken flavoured stuff that you pour on your roast dinner. The stuff that you make lasagnas with, that white sauce, that's called sauce. Now I know that tomato sauce is sauce, but that's because they're all called sauce. I know you wouldn't put tomato sauce on your lasagna, but that's just because we're very special people. I don't know why we call it all sauce, but it's also Yorkshire pudding. If you Google a Yorkshire pudding, it isn't a pudding. Now, there is some heritage towards an actual pudding for the Yorkshire pudding, but it's something that you stick on your Sunday roast dinner, or your roast dinner, whatever day you have it on. It's like a kind of a fluffy batter type stuff, I guess. Somewhere in the middle between, almost heading towards a texture of a pancake, somewhere between a pancake and a batter, maybe. I'm not really sure how to describe a Yorkshire pudding. But either way, there's few things. But generally speaking, I think that we all tend to have pretty similar types of sauce and amounts. You do get a lot more products that have chili type stuff in there. If we had ketchup with jalapeno, I would definitely buy that. We do have some varieties of that, but usually we end up getting them from places like Aldi stores where they're bringing in German products or sometimes US products as well. I've seen a few US products in Aldi stores, but generally speaking, you won't get them. So yeah, I think that the usage of sauce in the US is a lot bigger because you have a lot more time to be outdoor cooking and things like that, and you put your ranch dressing on most things. You also have a bit more of a fast food culture, so you're going to get a few more dips and dressings just because of that. Whereas in the UK we have a lot of fast food, but probably not so much with that, and we tend to just get a little carton of tomato or barbecue or sweet chili sauce with, you know, a McDonald's or a KFC. But at KFC in the UK you can also get a tub of beans or a tub of gravy that's like the gravy that you put on your dinner, not the gravy sauce that you put in your lasagna. And why do you put gravy on your breakfast? Even if it's a cooking sauce, even if the name's just a difference, it still looks like the thing that you'd stick on your evening meal, not the thing that you'd put on your breakfast. You would put a blob of tomato ketchup on your breakfast with your sausages and beans and things like that, but the stuff that I'll stick with a lasagna or a spaghetti bolognese or something like that, that wouldn't be going near my breakfast. So somebody explain in the comments what all that was about, if there's anything else that you can think of that we've not mentioned, and to correct us on all the things that I've no doubt got wrong, then please add it to the comment section. If you liked this video, then click thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, then click subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.